Hey guys, my name is Nikki and I am coming to you guys with a video about my sister locks. And to some of you guys who may or may have not seen me before on Instagram, I used to be on in basically 2009 making videos about my natural hair journey when I was a loose natural. And so I kind of just decided hey, I'm at a different space in my life. Let me kind of just come back on here and talk to you guys about my locks, because I feel like YouTube was very helpful when it came down to, the things that I wanted to know ahead of time about mine, at least before getting them. And, I feel like even if there's 1,000 videos about the same topic, someone can land on yours and find some information that they weren't able to get in the other 1,000. So hopefully I answer questions that I feel can be helpful for people who are considering locks, specifically sister locks. And yeah, so I have written down some stuff just because I know how I am. I can go on a tangent, start talking about things that are unrelated. So I'm gonna start trying to be more efficient and concise with my messaging. Okay, so to start off, why did I choose Sister Lock specifically? So I had been thinking about getting locks for a while. I would see it on people and just think oh my God, that's so beautiful. And at first I actually wasn't even really locks weren't even on my radar. When it came to a style, I wasn't thinking oh my God, I'm gonna get locks. But I think I was thinking more so about the lifestyle that I wanted to have and how I felt hair was restricting me from living that lifestyle. So what I mean by that is just that, I am known to switch up my hair. I switch up my hair pretty much every month. It'll be a different color, different length, a different texture. And the only reason why I would do that is because A, I do my own hair, and B, I'm if you have to switch it up, you might as well switch it up to something different. And so I got into the whole habit of wearing wigs, and that was great and everything, but I just felt I just wasn't able to live my best life. And what I mean by that is being, not wanting to go swimming because I'm worried about my hair, or all the effort it would go into trying to lay down the baby hairs and, make the bald cap and the takedown of the wig. It was all just so much, and it was just so much that I didn't want to do. So I was just oh, I don't want to do that either. Or just embarrassing moments when your wig, I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but your wig slipping off at a time where it's not supposed to slip off, or even just slipping back when you put it down and it slips back. I remember I was on vacation, I was wearing a wig, the wig almost came off on the jet ski, and I was just what kind of life is this? Literally, what kind of life is this? And so I took about, I want to say, how long did I take? 6 months to make the decision about getting locks. I told myself that I was going to do 6 months of no weaves, no wigs, and just do transitional styles. And at the end of the 6 months, I was going to decide whether or not I was going to lock my hair. And so during that time, I did everything. I did, passion twist. I did faux locks. I did goddess locks. I did spring twist. I did every sort of protective style that you can imagine. And I just love the freedom that came with that. There wasn't any reason why I couldn't go into the water, any worry that my hair would slip back, or any stress getting up in the morning. And I just love that. Even when it came to taking care of the hair in and of itself, because I actually used to work for a hair company, and the process of detangling and reviving and dyeing and bleaching, and I was just pretty much over that. So in conclusion, I decided to get locks. So why Sister Locks in specific? To be honest, I wasn't or am not the biggest fan of the look of traditional locks. I feel it looks great on other people. But for me, I just couldn't really envision it. And also I wanted to still be able to have versatility with my own hair. And so with that being said, I can still wear wigs over my locks now. Granted, they're still gonna grow and get thicker and it may be a little bit harder, but I can wear wigs over it now. I can style over it now and not really have any issue. One thing to consider is that with traditional locks, you are dealing with the diamond part. So with my hair now, it's a grid. So if I wanted to do anything, I can pretty much part it anywhere I want. And with traditional locks, because a lot of them do diamond parts, you don't have like a straight parting, which I didn't like. And there was also a lot of people who weren't willing to do traditional locks unless it was with that diamond part. When it came to micro locks, I actually wanted micro locks to begin with, but I was having an easier time finding Sisterlock consultants versus micro locks. And with micro locks, it's still a little bit different because your locks tend to be bigger, but they don't have they don't need to have a precise grid. And so a lot of places like wouldn't do it. At first I had thought about like lock extensions, but then I was just like, you know what, like I want to go through the path of actually getting them done. Okay, so with all that being said, like almost 6 minutes into the video, just some details about my locks specifically. So I'm based currently in the DMV area. So I got my locks installed by a Sister Loc trainee in the DC area. And I found her through Instagram. I had messaged a lot of people and she seemed to be the one that worked the best for me. She was a trainee. And she was on the Sisterlock website, which I would definitely make sure that you guys go ahead and check out. Some people will say that they know how to do Sisterlocks, but if they're not on the website, I would kind of be weary. Of course, you want to see like the work that they've done. I'm super particular and super like meticulous. So I was looking at everyone's grid to make sure it was straight, to make sure nothing was off, to make sure that like they knew exactly what they were doing before I picked someone. In terms of, I guess the hardest part of the process in the beginning is actually finding someone. I thought that was going to be the easiest part. Like, boom, like I found somebody who could do my Sisterlocks. Nope, not at all. That was the hardest part. When I was looking for people, there was a lot of different things that they were telling me. Some people were like, oh, we cannot deal with hair that's longer than 4 inches. Some people just didn't have any availability to take new clients. A lot of the people, at least in the DMV area, were too far from me, and I didn't want to have to travel for like my retie every time, you know, I needed to get it done. A lot of people don't do installations on the weekends. That was like a big thing. Like a lot of people do installations during the week. And so you have to be able to commit time to taking off those days during the week and even their reties during the week, which is kind of annoying because I'm just like, people work. So I don't really know how they expect that to work, but to each his own. So it took me a while to find my person, but I loved her. So basically what happens in the beginning is that you go in for a consultation. You pay for the consultation. It'll tell you, okay, like this is how your hair is. This is kind of what to expect from the Sisterlock journey, yada, yada, yada. And they install testers into your hair. So I got about, I think 8 to 12 tester locks in my hair, and I had them in for 2 weeks. And then after the 2 weeks, I was like, okay, boom, I'm gonna do it. I put down my deposit to install the locks, and then I went ahead to install the locks. Okay, so how long did it take? People ask me this all the time. It took 3 days to install my locks. I started at 7 a.m. and I finished at probably like 11 p.m. every single day that I did them. And but honestly, it went by fast. I'm not gonna say like it went by fast. Because you're talking to the person that's doing your hair, you're watching TV, you're sleeping, you're working. So as long as you keep yourself preoccupied, it's not the worst, but it's definitely a time commitment. But it's just like, you know, it's something that you have to be really, really sure about. So the 3 days is kind of like, I mean, that's what it was for me. In terms of how long I started off with 10 inches of hair. So my hair was already pretty much this long when I got my hair locked. At this point, I've had my locks in since August of 2019. And yeah, so there's that. In terms of, okay, so I said, how did I get my Sisterlocks? How long did I start off? 10 inches. Like I said, how long have you had them? Since August. Where did I go to get them from? DC. My consultant's name is Shannelle Cleckley, and her business is called Hippie Locks, and she is a trainee, so the prices were a little bit different. Okay, so talking about prices, Sisterlocks is definitely an investment. It's an investment, and it's an investment that if you're very, very serious about it, then it shouldn't be a problem. Because, well, I wouldn't say it shouldn't be a problem, because it's more so like you can save for it if it's something that you really, really want to do. you know, you can find a trainee like I did that tends to be a little bit cheaper than people who are already certified, and so on and so forth. So in terms of how much my locks cost, so I paid $775 total from my recollection. And that was because of how long my hair is. And so the base price, I think, for 4 inches and under was like 500 or 550 or something like that. And then I was getting charged like an additional $50 per inch after that or something crazy. So I paid like $775. I put down a deposit and then I paid the rest when I was done. So I was already mentally prepared to spend that money. There's a lot of people who are more expensive than that, that can cost like $1,000, even more than $1,000, depending on who is starting it. One thing that you have to be ready for when it comes to Sister Locks is that you need to drink a lot of water because it's going to show in your locks. If you weren't drinking water before and you really couldn't tell in your loose natural hair, whatever the case may be, you will tell in your locks. Your locks will look dry, your locks will look brittle, and you won't see as much new growth as you want. So I would definitely say drink, 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 drink. Another thing is that you should not use product in your hair. Some people have different like sayings and beliefs about this, but at least for the first year, from what I've been told, you should not use product in your hair. If you were a product junkie before, just throw all that stuff out unless you need it for the hair that you are currently, I don't know, like rocking like your wigs and stuff like that. But like, I don't put anything in my hair other than water. There's no anything other than that, just water. And when you do Sister Locks, they give you a kit that comes with like braiding and banding bands, which I'll kind of explain. It also comes with like Sisterlock shampoo, kind of like a how-to thing, which is pretty outdated. Like none of the stuff in there in terms of like styles and stuff are things that you would really want to do. And what else comes in there? I think that's all that comes in there. My Sisterlock consultant also gave me like a water bottle that I think had like essential oils in it that I just use to like spritz my hair and like give it life, but I don't put oil in it or anything like that. Another thing to consider is just like being mindful of how you wash your hair in the first year. You do have to braid and band, which is basically like braiding your hair and then like banding the ends. And I have to do that when I'm like going to the gym or when I'm washing my hair. I feel like that's kind of been really hard for me, like not the braiding and banding part, but like the washing the hair part, because it's like you have to kind of be able to get through the braids to like wash. And so sometimes after I still find that like my hair is not as clean as I would want it to be, and then I'm just like so getting used to that process. What else would I say about like what you need to know or watch out for in the beginning? Like what you sleep on. Oh my god, what do you sleep on? If you're not covering your hair to sleep, which I do not, then you have to be mindful about like your pillows, because you can get all kinds of particles in your locks, all kinds of particles. So a lot of times when I go to my Sister Loc consultant, she'll say, hey, are you wearing something orange? And I'm just like, damn, she caught me, because I sleep on an orange pillow. And honestly, I don't even care about that rule really, but you do want to be mindful because you can get like little lint stuff in your locks, but your loctician will usually find it and take it out, but you don't want to have like any issues. The braiding and banding, the reason why you want to do that is because you don't want to have slippage within your locks, and your consultant will charge you more if she has to like do repair and stuff like that. He or she has to do repair. Another thing about locks that you should be prepared for is that you have to get comfortable like pretty much leaving your hair in someone else's hands. That's so hard for me because I'm so used to doing my own hair that the fact that I have to like go in there like clockwork every 6 weeks, if I'm over the 6 weeks mark, I get charged like a late retie fee. I have to sit there. My reties take about 5 hours currently, so I have to sit there and have someone else do my hair. And it's kind of like bittersweet because it's just like, yes, you're not doing your own, but you're also at the will of someone else. So that's definitely something that I had to get used to. Another thing is that you're like automatically part of a community. And I say this not like a Facebook community or anything like that, but when you see people with locks in the streets, especially with Sister Locks in the streets, like you're just so like, you want to be like, oh, like, how long have you had them? Like, how many do you have? Like, who did it? Like, you just kind of gravitate towards them because you know that they're on the same journey as you are. And depending on how far along you are, you kind of want to ask them questions and stuff. In terms of my color, so I did my color before I locked my hair. Would I have done it knowing what I know now? Probably not. And the reason why I personally say that is because I'm not really wearing my locks out as of yet. I feel like I'm still waiting for them to get weighted down and like to have more volume. And so because of that, like I haven't really been confident enough to wear it out as like my style. And so I kind of feel like with that, the color is kind of just like, you could have waited. But there's that. With Sisterlocks, you cannot color your hair for the first year, which is why I chose to color it beforehand, because I'm more of like a blonde person. So granted, this isn't really like blonde, it was supposed to be, but I never, yeah, it was supposed to be. But yeah, so let's see. How many locks do I have on my head? I do not know. I did want her to count, but honestly, when your consultant is like tired and working from like 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., like she loses count. She's not keeping count. So one of these days I'll probably ask her to count them, but as of right now, I'm not sure. I think with Sisterlocks, they say it's Sisterlocks if they're like 400 over 400 locks in your head. I may be mistaking that. I think it's like 400 or 500 that they say that's like what makes it Sisterlocks. Okay, so another thing. So Sisterlocks can actually be done in different sizes. I wasn't really aware of that ahead of time. My Sisterlocks are very small. I kind of wish that they were bigger. Just because I know how I am, and even if I was to learn how to retie myself, I would not want to go through the process of doing so because it would take so long and they're so small. So like kind of doing like a up close, you can kind of see like these locks are small. And some are like locking, of course, quicker than others. Like the front of my hair is honestly like, I think you end up having more issues with the front just because of the fact that, you know, you wear makeup and you're washing your face and stuff like that. And it's all like in this area. Another thing to be mindful of is that if you are tender-headed, or even if you weren't tender-headed before, locks will make you tender-headed. And I say this just because you get so used to not pulling and tugging at your hair and using a comb and all this like strain that like your scalp gets so used to that when it comes time to like snap your hair, which is basically like what your consultant or what you should do after you wash your hair, because your roots tend to want to like grow into each other, and when they snap or when they're retying your hair, it gets so painful. It is so painful, like not crazy painful, but like painful where you're just like, ow, like, oh, I wasn't ready for that. Okay. Oh, in terms of where I got my color done, I got my color done at Loc Love DC. They were very great. They specialize in coloring locked hair. So I would recommend going to them if you are looking to lock your hair. What do people think? Honestly, I don't care what people think. but most people have been very like, oh my God, like I feel like this hairstyle is gonna look so great on you. I've had a lot of people tell me like, oh my God, like I'm considering locks, but I'm a little bit scared. I have people who I know are going to like really, really love my locks once they mature and once they get to a place where they're like, man, I should have started my locks when you started your locks. So in terms of the decision to get the locks, how do I feel? I feel great. I'm so thankful that I got them. I wish I had gotten them so long ago. I feel like it is empowering because of the simple fact that it is my own hair growing from my head that I'm taking care of, that is growing. And I feel like that's an amazing feeling to have confidence in your hair that belongs to you. And I plan to start wearing my hair out soon. I'm not there yet, but I do really, really love my locks. What else would I say? feel like that's it, guys. I feel like that's it. I mean, hopefully I answered your questions. And if not, let me know, because again, I'm a little rusty. But yeah, so those are my locks. Those are my locks. Oh, one final thing that I will say is that the way your locks look depend on your curl pattern. Period, point blank. It depends on your curl pattern. It depends on your hair density. It depends on your hair type in general. So the same thing with like loose natural hair, how you can see people's locks and think like, oh my God, their locks are so pretty. Your locks will not look like that. I guarantee it. Like, it will not. I've seen people who had curlier hair textures, and you can see how their locks are kind of forming in comparison to someone who has fine hair. I have fine hair, so my locks look different than someone who's like starting off with really, really thick hair. People who start off with really, really thick hair, like their locks look great because of the fact that they already kind of have that fullness that like someone like me is waiting to get. So there's that. Another thing, I keep saying another thing. Another thing is that even though we're natural, like locks are kind of like a whole different grouping of natural. Like, people don't say like, oh my God, you're natural. They say, oh, you're locked. And I didn't really notice that until like I got them done, is that like you're no longer part of like the natural community. You're in the lock community, and it's very different, even though they're kind of like one and the same. I think that's it. I'm hoping that I can be consistent in giving like updates in terms of how my hair is doing and all that kind of stuff. Usually when I go for a retie, she can go in about 4 times. So that's good. I haven't noticed the length in my hair or the growth, but apparently people have noticed. So there's that. Oh, and final thing, if anyone wants to know the difference between like the micro lock process and the sister lock process, or even just traditional lock process, it's the way they install the hair. So with sister locks, they actually use a specific tool, and they start from the bottom of your hair. And when they start from the bottom of your hair, they go in different like point rotations or whatever until they get to the root. Whereas with micro locks, you can start with like twists, or you can start with braids or coils, and it will form the lock. So that structure is completely different. The same thing with traditional locks, where they can start off with palm rolling to kind of get your locks in place. So yeah, I think I was informative. If I wasn't, I know somebody will let me know. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for another video. I'm definitely not doing like the hoopla and hoorah of having an intro, exit, giving y'all nicknames, none of that. So if you like it, hopefully you do. And this video is now 23 minutes long. So bye.